That's not what we're talking about. No, not no. He bought some time. Make sure that pretty she is clear.
Call the meeting to order. Leesburg City Commission meeting, today's date, Monday, July 25th, 2022. Our invocation and pledge will be led by Commissioner Christian.
Can we all stand, please? Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for being able to live in such a great city, such as Leesburg, Florida. We ask you tonight to touch our mayor, our city council. Thank you for our city management, staff, and those workers, God, who make Leesburg run so efficiently and effectively. We pray for our nation. We pray, God, for those who are fighting for the freedom that we so enjoy around the world. We pray for peace, prosperity in our city, our business owners, and those who visit our city to see the charm and the beauty of such a great city such as Leesburg, Florida. Touch our minds tonight. We can make decisions, be beneficial for all that are affected by what we do tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on, proclamations. We have none. Presentations, none. Next is public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future City Commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Any public comments?
Hi, my name is Don Friend. Can you hear me okay if I stand right here? And I'm the owner of a small business that
And just need your address.
that is invested into a property at 1023 McNamee Street.
Okay.
It's several apartments.
Okay.
The reason I'm here is because I'd like to bring up a matter of concern and request assistance from the City Council to help address a safety problem that's been reported to me by my tenants. Recently, several tenants have reported that they feel unsafe due to the activity that occurs across the street at John L. Johnson Park on Sunday nights. This event happens on a weekly basis and is known as Park and Chill. The event can involve hundreds of people, cars, drug use, alcohol, excessive noise, very loud music, and a significant amount of trash. It causes a significant disruption to the residents as well as the businesses in the area. Many of our tenants are families, they have small children, and they are rightfully concerned for the safety of their families. I'd like to ask the council for help on this matter and ask for any recommendations to help resolve it.
Commission, I don't recognize the address. I'm just trying to understand what part of town and what neighborhood we're talking
It's
about.
directly across the street from the park, it's John L. Johnson Park.
Okay, that helps me right there.
North of 441?
Other side, I think, the south side.
North side of 441.
Are they getting a permit for the city event?
No, they're not. We do have this issue that rises from time to time. Sorry about that. I don't have immediate solution or answer to the situation. It's something that we periodically deal with at the police department. Have you spoken with the police department when these issues arise?
I've spoken with the police department, and recently there was gunfire reported at this event. That was 4 weeks ago. I drove by last night. The event was still occurring. It happens every week.
Right. I know, hey, if Rob's around the corner, I saw him. If Rob, do you have any comments on this? Not to throw you under the bus here, but
Didn't hear what he said.
the complaint is the alleged criminal activity. Not that your complaint's not correct, but until we go through all that stuff, it's mischief, I guess, would be the good word to use at John L. Johnson Park. And so I advise the commission, we deal with this from time to time. It's best for you probably to get with the chief. We can set up neighborhood watches and do these type of things. So it's what we deal with this periodically, sometimes to success, sometimes not to success. And unfortunately, that's the best answer I have for you right now. So it's a matter of just police issues, keeping up with it. Sometimes we do well, sometimes we don't. I would ask that you speak with Chief so we can get some more information about your issues and go from there.
So the issues are not on your property. The issues are at
At the park.
Johnson Park.
It's directly across the street from my property.
Okay.
There's such a large amount of people that attend there that they park in our parking lot. It directly affects
Okay.
our tenants and our residents, and there's a lot of trash as well.
Okay. We'll get it right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? If none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commission staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. Pull the items from the consent agenda, vote on remaining items with one roll call, then discuss each pulled item, and vote by roll call. Are there any items the commission would like to pull this evening?
Before you pull items or review this, I just want to inform you that we did pull the Beecher Street grant temporarily. A couple issues popped up in my staff review of this earlier today, so I pulled it. I need to get back with Sandra Wilson, our new HR housing director, and visit this, but we'll bring back. I just didn't feel like it was ready today.
And I'm looking
So we
for
did amend it. I don't know which one. If it's probably already been taken
Okay,
off. But I
that's
just want,
fine.
if you reviewed that over the weekend and then came and
Okay.
we shifted gears on you. So
Okay.
everything else on the consent is the same, but for that.
any other items the commission would like to pull.
Yeah, 5C7.
5C6.
Anything else? If nothing, I'll take a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda.
Move to approve the remaining items.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. Would someone please introduce 5C6?
Introduced and has to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a contract for purchase and sale and lot line deviation with Concierge, Inc. for real estate within the Lake Harris Shopping Center in order to accommodate the expansion of lift station number 72 and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Comments from the commission?
Yeah, so I pulled this one. This is for the property for the waste station, which we don't have a good alternative because we have to have the lift station and expand it. But I just feel like this company, I don't know, it's Concierge, Inc., James Bingham, I don't know who that is. Anyways, they're charging us like the equivalent of $1.6 million an acre for a 1,200 square foot piece of property. It's just ridiculous. And we don't have any choice, so, I mean, I guess I'm going to support it, but just, anyways, this guy or company or whatever needs something from the city, I would encourage us not, we don't need to do them any favors.
I appreciate you pulling it and explaining it. I think I came up to 1.8 million.
Okay.
Just to throw gas on that fire. Any other comments from the commission?
Actually, I pulled the wrong item.
Oh, you
Yeah, it was, my comments are the same as Dan's. I feel like there's a little bit of extortion. We got 1,200 square feet, so that's what a 30 by 40 pad that we're paying $50,000 for. And I think the public should know what these guys are doing to us. I had a discussion with Al about it today, and our choices are very limited because if we don't move on with this, we will have to spend a lot more money to buy a bigger piece of property, but we're still being, taken to the cleaners on this.
Yeah, I can just
please.
because I understand where the commission's at, and you guys want to make it public, that you still feel like you need to do the deal even though of the price. So in the packets is the explanation, and the Reader's Digest version of the explanation is we need to upgrade the lift station that's at that location to accommodate the growth that's in South Leesburg. That project is slated to be about $1 million of cost, which is in the fiscal year 23 budget, which you'll approve in September, but you reviewed here recently. To make those improvements to the lift station at a cost of $1 million, we need 1,200 square feet to be able to make that lift station bigger. If we don't get the 1,200 square feet, then we need to look for a new site. So if you go off and look for a new site, buy it, build a new lift station at the size we need, your $1 million projects now become $2 million. So unfortunately, we're getting a bad deal on 1,200 square feet, but spending 50 grand saves $1 million. So these are how we get in these traps, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, thank you for the short version, Al. I appreciate the comments. I think the public needs to know what's going on here. Any other comments from the commission? Public comments? Okay, if none, roll call.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. We still need to vote on 5. Yeah, so if someone please introduce 5C7.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, accepting a right-of-way deed to the City of Leesburg from Village Community Development District Number 14 for the purpose of dedicating all roadways located within the villages of Westlake Unit Number 42, Unit Number 43, Unit Number 44, Unit Number 45, and Unit Number 46 as described therein, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Comments from the commission?
None.
Comments from the public? If none, roll call.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. Moving on to public hearings and non-routine items. Second reading of ordinances. Items 1, 2, and 3 were withdrawn by the applicant. We are going to go through reading them, discussing them. We're going to read them all at one time, and then we'll combine the discussion. So somebody would please introduce 6A 1, 2, and 3.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
6A1, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 0.59 acres, being generally located on the west side of County Road 468 and north of Schoolview Street, lying in Section 21, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, providing that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, provided that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 2 and providing an effective date. 6A2, an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan of the City of Leesburg, changing the future land use designation of certain property containing approximately 0.59 acres from Lake County urban medium density to City of Leesburg medium density residential for property generally located west of County Road 468 and north of Schoolview Street as legally described in Section 21, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A3, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, rezoning approximately 0.59 plus minus acres from Lake County RP Residential Professional to City of Leesburg SPUD Small Planned Unit Development to allow for residential development for property generally located west of County Road 468 and north of Schoolview Street as legally described in Section 21, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
So I'm looking at Grant here. We can have a discussion on it. Help me out, Grant. We can actually accept this withdrawal by the applicant. We also have the right to vote on this if the commission wants. And I say that because this has been this one's been here in front of the commission a few times. We've never voted on it, but there's been a lot of concerns on this one. So I don't know if there's any, help me out, Grant, if needed, but any comments from the commission?
Yes, sir. I'll just, touching on what you said, you can combine the discussion on these. The items 2 and 3, let me go ahead and swear everybody in for items 2 and 3, and then I'll go over that. But if we have anybody, any city staff or anyone in the public who plans to provide any testimony or evidence on items 6A, 1, 2, or 3, if you would please stand and raise your right hand so you can be sworn in. You swear or affirm that all testimony you'll give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Mayor, back to your point, you can combine the discussion on these 3 items. There's nothing wrong with that. Subject matter is very much aligned with each item. So you can combine the discussion, but you should do separate motions if we're going to vote on the motion.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay, so I turn to the commissioners. We've had a lot of discussion on this in the past. So,
Just to clarify one other thing, if when we bring up a motion and we vote, the outcome of that vote, how does that influence the ability for Schoolview to either reapply, or what is the,
My understanding is that there would be a 1-year time period on they would not be able to apply for a 1-year period if there is a vote and a rejection of their application.
versus a withdrawal, which means he could bring it back in
Correct.
next meeting or two. So,
So when Grant and I had this discussion, so just as formality's sake, because it's a scheduled public hearing, I think it's best you just deal with it and vote on the matter. I think you should take the withdrawal as they don't want this any longer. So then that kind of, and I don't think I'm saying anything that's against the quasi judicial proceeding here, but they withdrew, so your vote should be no.
Yeah,
And that closes the matter formally, and they would have to wait a year to come back.
Yeah, and to add to Mr. Minner's comments, the message from the applicant did seem to indicate that they were planning to deal with the county with the property as opposed to the city. So that seems sort of consistent with not looking to move forward here in the city. But I just wanted to point that comment out.
Okay. No, thank you for that clarification.
I mean, the way I'm reading it, they're asking for it to be withdrawn, so I think we should just vote to have, honor their request and just withdraw it versus voting against it, and now they can't do anything for a year if they decide they want to come back to the city if they can't work out something with the county. I think we should just go with what they ask us.
I'm looking at Grant, but I've understood you right. The withdrawal means he could bring it back at any time versus if we vote it down,
Yes, sir.
you'd have to wait 1 year.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're recommending,
I'm recommending that we just honor what they're requesting, which is withdrawal of it, and then if they want to come back with a modified plan, they still can do that at a later date. But if we vote just to disapprove it tonight, they can't come back for a year. So I think we should just, they're asking for it to be withdrawn. I think that's what we should vote on tonight. And like I said, they can come back at a later date with a modified plan if they can't work out something with the county.
okay. Other commissioners?
Well,
The only thing, and I don't want to be argumentative with the Commissioner Cannell, when you had this discussion, which was public discussion at the first reading, there was concern that this was, what was it? It was six units in less than an acre.
Half
And
acre.
and the commission did express, a majority of the commission did express concern that this development was too dense and didn't properly fit the code, which is the reason for the delay and then the subsequent withdrawal. So because of the public hearing, I would say, yeah, you should vote on this to finish it. That won't preclude him from coming back. That will preclude him from bringing 6 units in this acre back. It'll be up to Dan's discretion, as you've seen in the past, that if he wants to come back, it would need to be substantially changed. As we had those discussions with you, what we think the petitioner's going to find out is when he talks to the county, he's not going to be able to get 6 units like he wanted with the county because A, it's going to not be compliant with their code, and B, he's still going to have to come back to us for water. So that's kind of forcing, and this is what we advised him. That plan's really not going to work. So therefore, if you kill it by a no vote tonight, there's formality, and that forces him to substantially change. And then if he brings back a plan like you guys would like to see, he can come back before 6 months. So just keep that in mind. And I think that gets accomplished what you want,
Well,
unless you like the 6-unit plan.
No, I was thinking it wasn't necessarily the amount of the 6 units. I was thinking it was more the concern with the amount of parking they had for those units.
And all those things add up. So it was the parking, it was the garages that needed to be attached for each unit. And when you do that plan in accordance with what the land development regs want, you're not going to get 6 units.
and I probably live closer to this unit, this development, and I think it's unconscionable for us to say we're pretty much going to permit 12 units an acre. So when we talk about other parts of our city, how can you allow, or even think about allowing 12 units an acre? These are 6 units on a half-acre lot. I don't think anyone on this commission has voted to approve. In fact, we've been talking about 3 units an acre. But now in this neighborhood, we're saying it's okay. We're going to approve 12 units an acre, 6 houses on a half acre, no garages, no parking, no sidewalks. And we're going to say, as we told the applicant, we gave him almost a month and a half, 2 months, to read the email he sent to his staff. He's going to go to the county, see what he can do with the county, and then maybe he'll come back to the city. For me, on the council, off the council, I'm going to be in the hall telling you guys, if you're going to go 12 units an acre in my neighborhood, I want you to do it in your neighborhood. So we should not discuss, we should not shoot down when we come talk about Sunnyside, Silver Lake, South 27, anywhere else. I don't think any neighborhood could handle 6 units on a half-acre lot with no garages, and we're saying to this community, it's okay because you're near a bus line. That is one of the craziest defenses anybody could say, that I'm going to expect someone in a 3-bedroom house to have 1 car and you're going to park it in front of your house and everybody's in your house going to catch the bus. I mean, I vote no today with or without applicant being here, withdrawn or not. you let him come back with a plan and build one house or whatever on a half acre, but not 6 units. I just think that's not fair to the Montclair Carver Heights Redevelopment Organization. We have a CRA. It's just not fair for us to work on redevelopment and we just throw this on a half acre lot.
I just want to clarify, John. I'm not saying I'm good with the plan as proposed, which I have voted against it. What I'm saying is I hate to completely shut the door on them and they're locked out without the ability to possibly come back unless, I think they can, Dan, if they make significant improvements. So, I mean, I guess, y'all want to go that route, I'm fine. But like I said, I don't want to completely shut the door that they cannot, they're done with the city of Leesburg. They cannot come back. But I don't approve the plan or support the plan as drawn. I agree the density's too high, that there wasn't enough parking, but I don't want somebody to completely not be able to develop something on the property. I mean, I do believe in property rights, and they should have an opportunity to do something with it.
I agree with that. But not 6.
Additional comments from the commission?
I'll just say, and I don't think this was what Commissioner Christian was probably getting at, but I would absolutely support 6 or more units an acre in a very different type project. If someone wants to come with like condos or apartments or townhouses with parking garages and all sorts of stuff, yeah, absolutely bring those, but not anything like this. Certainly, I agree with Commissioner Christian's comment on that in the sense that like we have 6 single-family homes on a half acre. That's very, very different. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for the clarification. Any other comments? Commission entertain a motion if somebody wants to make a motion.
So now you get the 3 votes, the annexation of land.
Oh, okay, yeah, my bad. Okay, so we've got to vote on these separately. So 6A1, I need a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion on the commission.
Just my discussion is, we voting to withdraw this, we voting to, as a second reading, and say, which way are we voting on this?
However the commission wants to go. I need clarification on that. I can't make the motion.
That would be the motion was on the item, so we would vote yes or no on the item, not on the withdrawal.
Yeah, so
We can amend it.
yeah, so there's a motion on the floor to annex the half an acre into the city. Based on your discussion during the public hearing, I would recommend that if you don't like this development, you should vote no and just not bring the parcel in. I also think that voting no does not preclude the developer from significantly changing the plan and bringing it back to the city. Well, and in my direction, based on your vote, no matter your vote, will be to work with the developer. I think if you vote yes on this, though, and then vote no on the next subsequent 2, then you do hamstring the developer because now he's in the city and Dan. So really the best thing to do is vote no on each 3. And, I'll reach out to Dan and let the developer know that they officially voted however you're going to vote if it's in the negative, but we'll process a plan that's substantially modified so that we address your concern, Commissioner.
So you prefer not to even annex it?
I would recommend that you not even annex it.
Okay. I'm looking at Grant. Earlier, I thought we had a discussion. We started out with a discussion on are we voting on a withdrawal or voting it down? That's why I guess I have a blank look.
Yeah, I think it depends on the motion that's made. I mean, it's whatever motion anybody wants to make would be available at this point, so.
Yeah, I made a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
To approve 3,
Okay.
or whatever.
There's a motion on the floor
Okay,
to
and that's- sorry, Dan.
approve the annexation.
So we don't approve the annexation, do we need to go to 2 and 3 if it's not annexed?
The other 2 essentially become a moot point if it's not annexed.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
This also, I think, by doing this, gives a little clarity to the county of how we feel about this, so they don't even come and ask for water and utilities.
Okay. Any more comments from the commission? Comments from the public? If none, roll call.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Christian,
No.
Commissioner Bury,
No.
Commissioner Roebuck,
No.
Mayor Peterson.
No. Help me out here, Grant.
Okay, so that closes, that means,
Yes, sir, yeah. Yes, the rejection of the motion to annex the property would make the next two items moot because there would be no rezoning or change to the future land use plan.
Thank you. And that makes sense to me. In the past, we've gone through them,
Yes, sir.
through the exercise, so thank you very much. So, okay. Moving on,
B1,
moving on to 6.
B1.
B1, okay. First reading of ordinances. Right, but I think I've got this figured out. Someone please introduce 6B1.
And do 6B1 and recommend and read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, modifying the existing zoning of PUD planned unit development on approximately 214.84 acres for property generally located east and west of U.S. Highway 27 and north of Florida's Turnpike, as legally described in Section 1, Township 21 South, Range 24 East, and Section 6, Township 21 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
This item will lay over, but are there any comments from the commission?
Yeah, I did have a comment. I'm very happy to see the interest in the property, but I'd also like to make a request that we alter it to the road clauses that we've been putting into our PUDs, along with dark sky lighting and the trees.
It also asks that we add all of our prohibited uses in. We have permitted uses that include a bunch of commercial, but no prohibited uses. I mean, it says not it does have language about it. They're not specifically in here, but like I just want to be very clear. I like to list them out so nobody can say that when we said that you could do, this one thing, it meant this other thing too.
Any other comments from the commission? Okay. Any public comments? Okay. Moving on, someone please introduce 6B2.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 32.86 plus minus acres from City of Leesburg PUD planned unit development to City of Leesburg PUD planned unit development to replace 208 townhouses with 83 detached single-family residential units for property generally located north of Sunnyside Drive and west of Fern Drive, as legally described in Section 30, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Again, this item will lay over, but any comments, feedback from the commission?
Yeah, I did have one question. The entrance onto Sunnyside, where I've had people out there ask me where that's going to be. Is it going to make the three-way a four-way, or how is that going to be handled?
Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning. I've heard discussion about that, but the answer would have to come from Lake County Public Works because they're Lake County roads. Staff doesn't have a problem with the roundabouts at all from the cities, from Planning and Zoning standpoint. But we can talk to the Lake County Public Works and get their take on it for you.
It's kind of a roundabout now anyway, so very few people stop.
So, question on that. Just look, so I know it's up to the county on that. I mean, can we actually put a preference in a PUD if there is a preference on something like that, or is it literally just it doesn't matter what we put in there? There's whatever they.
From that standpoint, because we have no legal authority over those roads, I would be careful. I wouldn't mind putting something that the city would prefer to see in there. I don't know that language would be legally binding, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you.
What would you like to see in the commission?
I was really just was curious. I never thought about that. I don't have a preference.
Might as well try to see. Dan, you got any preference?
I mean, judging from the last, we could maybe we need 6-lane highways out there.
Any other comments from the commission? Any public comments? Okay, moving on. Someone please introduce 6B3.
Introduced, has to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 9.74 plus minus acres, being generally located east of Sleepy Hollow Road and north of Sunnyside Drive, lying in Section 29, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, providing that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, provided that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the city of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 1 and providing an effective date.
So this item will lay over. Any comments, though, from the commission?
Just one, this property does lie north of the east-west transverse of Sunnyside, so I don't think the property owners have any disagreements with it, dating back to the 2004 agreement between the county and the city and the property owners. So we have I think it's a good project.
Okay. No, thank you for clarifying that. Any other comments? Okay. Any public comments? Are you guys good? Yeah. Okay. Moving on, would somebody please introduce 6B4?
Recommended be read by title only.
An ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 9.74 plus minus acres from Lake County rural transition to City of Leesburg Estate Residential for property generally located east of Sleepy Hollow Road and north of Sunnyside Drive as legally described in Section 29, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
So again, this item will lay over, but any comments from the commission? If none, any public comments? Okay. Yeah, please come forward.
Max Parker, address 7822 Slower Drive, Leesburg. This property that's north of Sunnyside, is there a map for this?
There is a map in our packet. Can you scroll?
Page 325.
Thank you, Anna.
Guess yours is a different.
Oh,
Yeah,
keep
this is from
going.
before. It's gonna be close to that now.
Yeah, mine's doing the same thing. It's no supporting documents in the body of the.
Oh, and the one they just uploaded?
Yeah, it's no support. That's the last supporting documents we had. Then it goes to the findings.
No, keep,
No, I thought I saw
That's the
something.
next one.
it's in
The
there.
other way.
It's not on mine. That's the only one I have.
That's the one down on the turnpike, so you need to go up
Oh,
if there's any
I'm trying
document.
to tell you, it's not in there.
That's it right there.
Yeah, there you go.
It's right on the corner.
Go to the one at 309, Anna. No, one, there you go. That's the subject.
Does that help, Max?
Right on the corner of Sleepy Hollow
northeast
and
corner?
Sunnyside.
Okay.
On the north side of Sunnyside.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks.
Are you good?
That's good.
Okay.
That's right, and that's
Close,
right
that's
above
good.
the magic line.
It's above the north-south, or the east-west transverse of.
All right, thank you.
Okay, no, thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, if none, we'll move on to 6B. Somebody please introduce 6B5.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
an ordinance of the city of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 9.74 plus minus acres from Lake County R1 rural residential to City of Leesburg PUD planned unit development to allow a single-family residential development for property generally located east of Sleepy Hollow Road and north of Sunnyside Drive, as legally described in Section 29, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Okay, so this item will lay over as well, but any comments? Public comments? Okay, if none, someone please introduce 6B6.
Recommend it be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 280 plus minus acres for property generally located south of Florida's Turnpike and east of County Road 33, lying in sections 34 and 35, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Okay, so this item will be a layover, but any comments? Any public comments? If none, we'll move on with some.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant came with a presentation. Would you like to see it tonight or at the next meeting?
I'm looking.
I would say the next meeting, since we got another meeting after this one.
Yeah, we got a meeting.
Can we do it next meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
Whatever pleases y'all.
Good answer.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Give that man alone.
Okay, moving on. Will someone please introduce 6B7?
Introduce has to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, providing for amendments of the city charter, amending Article 1, Section 5, relating to powers of the city, providing requisite ballot language for submission to electors, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the charter, providing for conflict, and providing an effective date.
This item also will lay over, but any comments from the commission tonight?
I do have a couple on this one, Mike. I would have liked to seen this actually come up under a discussion item for further discussion. I was a little blindsided by this today when I saw it on the agenda. I don't feel like I've been able to gather the information I would like to gather to see the pros and cons about doing this. I'd like to postpone it for a discussion, possibly even a workshop. To me, anytime we're proposing to change the charter, that's a big deal. And just to randomly put it on here without any discussion of looking at the pros and cons, the good, bad, whatever, to doing this, I think it's a little premature. I'd like to, like I said, have further discussion and have some time to look at both sides and see which way looks the best. So I'd like to just, I guess if you want to have the first reading, I don't know how that works, Grant, if you can
We're not
just
voting on it.
postpone. I know, but if you can just postpone it, not even to come back for a second reading until we have a discussion on it.
Yes, sir, you
But,
can do that, right. So first reading tonight, that could be continued until another time, depending on how the commission prefers.
And so it's my fault it got on so quick, and it was based on getting it on the ballot. And I don't know if we postpone the first reading, can we still get it on the ballot, or when is the second reading?
Yeah, let me just jump into this here a little bit. And I've spoke with most of the commission offline about this, so let me share those discussions. And obviously, they've been the same with all the commissioners. I'm gonna be long-winded. Warning.
Thank
All
you
right.
for the warning.
And frankly, as I prep this, no disrespect to Commissioner Roebuck, this is kind of Commissioner Roebuck's swan song before he leaves the commission. And let's see, almost 8 years ago, Commissioner Roebuck approached me with the concept of a utility authority. The purpose of the utility authority to better monitor the cash flows and transfers and operations of the enterprise funds. We did endeavor to put together an enterprise authority, and we created some broader strokes of how they would function in review of the budget and these type of things, and put out some advertisements to get folks on the utility authority. But frankly, we didn't get a lot of interest to serve on that committee, and time has passed. So we have a functional, by ordinance, utility authority that reviews our enterprise funds, but we haven't practiced it. I will take responsibility for that, frankly, because I think the utility authority concept is not favorable to the city commission. Why I think that is because you have a council manager form of government, and this commission, since inception, has managed your utilities. We've had some ups and downs, obviously, through the years, but I think this commission does an excellent job of managing your enterprise funds. And so with this commission being the ultimate body, I think there becomes question on additional reviews that are repetitive, and where the ultimate authority lies with this body on how you manage those funds. Dan and I, on and off, have had this discussion, and he approached me Thursday of last week at the FMPA conference. And if I digress not too much, I think Commissioner Roebuck's response was, okay, I get it. I see what you're saying about the utility authorities, but that I'm leaving commission. I want to do stuff that ensures that the utilities are handled in the way we've handled them for the past 8 years. So what do you think if the biggest threat to, what do you think if? So what do you think if is, what happens if this community mismanages, or this body mismanages the utility so poorly that the investor owns or other utility associations would come in and try to buy the utility? We've seen that happen across the state from time to time. And at this time, too, it's volatile for two reasons. One, gas prices are spiking. You saw the notice I sent out to the commission today. Our projection was still low. We projected to bump, and we did bump the PCA, power cost adjustment, up to $25 per thousand, because 3 weeks ago we thought power costs were going to be in the $100 megawatt range. Well, the cost came through in July. $100 was blown away by $120. All based on gas prices. So we have reacted quickly, and August power cost adjustments up to $50. So one, we are at a volatile time right now, and it's not really of our doing, but it's the circumstances of the natural gas industry. Natural gas runs power wholesale, and it runs power generation in this state. And so not just the city of Leesburg, municipal utilities or co-op utilities, or our investor-owned friends, we are all suffering from these spikes. So now is a good time to, kind of mark this. The other thing that is a dynamic that's happening in our community is look like we have massive growth that will occur very northwest of our city, kind of in the 44 Radio Road corridor, and to the very south of our city, the 27 corridor, south of Commissioner Cannell's kind of neighborhood, which is a Duke and Seco territory. Right now, our composite of, especially on the electric fund, of in-city versus out-of-city residents is about 55-60%. So 55-60% of our electric customers are in the city limits. That's actually a high number when you look at municipal utilities. That number is going to shrink. And shrink means get high. It'll be lower. I can see a time when that 55-60% could be below 50%. And so do the math. Whispering Hills, Leiden Nichols, all those big subdivisions as they develop, the villages, as all those guys develop, you will have a significant number of city residents who aren't on the utility system. I think there's the potential for commissioners of this legislative body then to have that, why do we need this? Why is this an important thing? And so those commissioners will be dealing with our finances, making rate control issues and these type of things. But at the end of the day, they may not be a benefactor of the great things that comes with Leesburg Electric, which is local control, local ownership, hurricane response time, controlling who we do and how quick we respond to things. And that is frankly the area where municipal utilities are the best. And we saw that in the hurricane where Leesburg Electric got up and Duke didn't. And remember when Commissioner Dennison was on the commission, they were 2 or 3 weeks lag time after whatever hurricane that was. I've forgotten the name. It was Wilma. So those control issues are significant. So the principle behind the referendum is that if we want to make it hard to sell our enterprise funds, So how do you do that? You embed something in your charter, and how do you get a charter amendment is the two-step process of an ordinance and then a vote of the people. So if we want to, like, for example, we did the districts. We did that by charter amendment, and we went to a vote of the people, and we established that by an ordinance that was passed by a majority vote, and then the majority of the electors who go vote. That's the typical process to change the charter. To make it hard to sell a utility, you embed it in your charter that you can't do it unless you put some hurdles in there. And I'm being direct. And that's what this does. The first thing it does is it puts a hurdle into selling the system by making it a charter issue. So we're going to make that harder. This proposes two ways. Not a 3-vote majority from the city commission, but 4, just to even ask the electors the question. And then if we get 4 or 5 commissioners, because mind you, we might have in the future 3 commissioners who are on the system and 2 that aren't. That could be how we have, and look the road 10, 15 years from now. So let's make it 4 commissioners to ask the question. That's the first thing we ask. The first thing, part B, is if that gets a 4/5 vote of the city commission, or 4 out of 5, then we want 2/3 of the voting electors to say yes, not just a simple majority. So it just makes it harder to sell those systems. And the enterprise fund systems is what we use. So what are those systems? The electric fund, the water fund, the sewer fund, and the gas fund. Those are the systems that we're controlling. And it's especially the gas side that we want to protect, because hopefully if we've done all our work right the last 8 years, that the cash flow will come from the gas system, where we'll have extra money to come back and reinvest in Corey Leesburg. So we want to protect that from a whim or an outside agency who has different goals and perspectives, different financial strategies than we do from selling our utility, because our utilities do 2 things for us. A, they return capital when we want them to return capital. And that's a very important statement. We only want them to return capital to the city after we've been a utility first. So that means make sure our rates are in the right spot, make sure our systems are in the right spot, make sure our inside, outside customers are taken care of, make sure that we have competitive rates. And when all those things are done, then we can have party money, right? We see that in the gas fund. I hope to see it again. We don't see that so much in the water and sewer funds, because there's, other than the transfer issues. And hopefully we will see it again in the gas fund. The future is going to tell us, and we're seeing it right now, that we will not see that, I don't think, ever in the electric fund. Why? Because when the great city of the Leesburg created the electric system back in electrification, we got wholesale, we made our own energy, then we got wholesale deals. And back in the glory days, call it the 70 through 90s, we're buying power for $40 a megawatt. Those days are gone, and they're never coming back. And that stopped about, I'll tell you the date, because I was in Fort Meade, and it was the All Requirements Project, which the city is a member of. It was February 1st, 2001, when we bought gas for $1, $2 a decatherm, and then overnight it went to 15, and then we had the hedging, and then the economy crashed, and there was, global chaos. And we saw numbers go from $50 a megawatt to 70, to 80, to 90. Well, guess what? We're back in that time frame. So there is a real concern that we've got to be a utility first. The utility not just provides us reserve monies or transfer monies, but especially on the electric side, the service part of that, how we manage the system, how we respond, how we control hurricane response. You don't want to give that up. And so you want to protect that from potentially citizens who might not be a benefactor of that, who might be intrigued by the cash. So the second thing that the referendum does is it says, we know we need to be competitive in electric. So let's keep the transfer from the electric fund to the general fund, which we do in all of our funds, at 6%. Our current policy right now is 10%. Okay, so we have imposed 6% on ourselves, and we've whittled it down in the past 10 years. I don't think electric was ever 10%. I know it was in the mid 9s or so, but we've whittled that down from 9%ish to the 6% that we're at now. So what we're asking the next part of this referendum be, it stays at 6. Why 6? 6 is the universal franchise number. So if you are not a municipal electric utility, you have a franchise agreement with your electric provider, which is a co-op, potentially another city, or typically an investor-owned utility. You have a franchise agreement with them because providing electricity is a municipal service. It's our right to provide that by Florida statutes. And in exchange for using our right to provide a municipal service and our right-of-ways, you got to pay us. And that's what's called a franchise fee. We have a franchise fee in place with 2 other utilities, Seco and Duke, for those customers that reside within the city limits that we don't serve, which is not in our recognized territorial limits. So the best thing that we can do to stay competitive is show our customers by charter amendment that we will not transfer more than 6% of total revenues. Now, the secret to total revenues is there's some wiggle room in there for whoever's sitting in these chairs later of, like we had that discussion a couple weeks ago, gross revenues, net revenues. We're doing it on net revenues, which reduces that 6% even more. So there's probably, honestly, depending on total volume, somewhere between maybe $250,000 and $500,000 or $250,000 of wiggle room, which is sufficient. So it's purposely total revenues to have some wiggle room. But I think the 2 big things are we don't want the intrusion of having to fend off people who would want to sell the utility, and we also want to show our customers that we want to be super competitive, and we're always going to keep the electric fund transfer at 6%. So that was the conversation. I quickly acted. So why so quick? Well, the referendum question only comes, that bus is secular, and it only comes special elections. So we have special election, we have the typical primary election, which comes up, it's August, right? August something.
3rd, I think, yeah.
And then we have the general election, November, second Tuesday of the month, 8th. To get this question on the ballot that quick, we have to get the question into the supervisor's office by August 25th. So I lit up Grant's hair on fire and said, I need an ordinance like tomorrow, and there it was. That's why we jammed it on. I felt like that these were pretty things that would be widely accepted by the city and widely accepted by the commission, and we'd have time to discuss it in this forum. I can't say anything more than that as far as what data. The only other city that has done something like this is a utility authority in Key West made a charter amendment to their community that makes it harder to sell the utilities. Some communities have flirted with it, some haven't. It's I won't say bleeding edge. It's a little bit different animal. Grant and I had a conversation with Jody Finkel from FMPA. Jody is the general counsel there, who, when we posed the idea to him, I'm gonna say, of course I'm exaggerating, but he jumped out of his chair with excitement because our electric advisors like to see when communities do things that protect the electric fund from crazy spending, because we've got to be competitive. So that's the gist behind all of this. Commissioner Cannell, I can work with you on whatever data you want. And frankly, if I wouldn't postpone it more than I wouldn't postpone it. The 22nd just gets it too tight. I think August 8th, we got to get it done and run it down there and get it to the supervisor, because the deadline's the 25th, but I don't want Andy running down there on the 23rd saying, hey, will you get this thing? It cuts it too close. I think it's an easy question. I'd be happy to work with anybody on what they need. I can get you the more information, but I can tell you in our conversations, it's going to be supported by FMPA. It's going to be supported by FMPA, and there's been really, and I'm not exaggerating, only 1 or 2 communities who've done it. But I think it's a super critical, important thing that we do to protect the systems and keep our competitiveness. I think it shows in this time to our customers that even though our price is going up, those are things that are out of our control. So we're doing things to protect our ratepayers who are both in and outside the city limits.
No, thank you very much, Al. Yeah, I agree. We need to move this along. This is the first reading. We can discuss it tonight. My only comment, and I compliment both you and Dan for bringing this forward and moving it along. Are we tying our hands with the 6%?
The answer is.
I mean, we are. But I mean, what have we done historically? We've always been around 6. I heard you just say
No,
9.5.
the answer is yes. We're tying our financial hands, and we're doing that on purpose. I think probably historically you've been up around 8. You know, it's ticked up above 8, and then it's maybe dropped down. But I can tell you this: we've been at 6 about the last 3 fiscal years.
Okay, that's my question.
2. And so but every year since I've been here, we have trimmed the transfer little by little by little by little to get to the goal of being a municipal utility that has a 6% franchise to match what, dagnab, I said it wrong. We have a 6% transfer to match non-municipal electric utility city that have a 6% franchise fee.
And I will say that, and there's one other way that outside of the transfer, the electric helps out, and that's through the cost allocation through the departments. And there's a real cost. So, like, obviously, a large part of Al's time goes to the electric, as is the biggest revenue line, and a big part of IT. But it allows us to have a level of services throughout the city that we would not be able to afford without the utilities. Because you get rid of the utilities, you get rid of. I mean, well, you'd probably have to cut staff outside of even just like the line people. Just support staff that would be like a 30% reduction if you didn't have the utilities. It'd be a big number. And so we were able to provide better customer service throughout the city, I think, because of the utilities. I would say that. And I will also say when the electric transfer was in that 9 range, there were political consultants contacting people in Leesburg about launching campaigns to have the utility sold like they did in Vero Beach. And when Al came and started reducing it, that kind of got the attention off. And it's an odd thing. So if you're an investor in a utility like Duke is, or Florida Power, you're not allowed to raise your rates like we do. You have to go to the Public Service Commission. And the way you're allowed to raise your rates is you're allowed to get a guaranteed return on your assets. So the best way to make more money is to overpay for assets. So they will. They paid way over what they should have for Vero Beach because they just get to build it into the rates. And then now those people in Vero Beach who thought they were going to have cheaper electricity end up paying more, as does everyone else in Florida. So because of that, in fact, the FMPA and the All Requirements Project is closing a deal on some gas power plants that came available for sale at, and paying about 20% of what they're worth. And it's because the investor and utilities don't want discounted power facilities. They only want to build new, even though it does the exact same thing. So yeah, you'll have them come in and do some weird things.
So you're okay with the 6%? Commissioner
I
Roebuck?
am. I think it's while I'd love to have some more, I think it's where you have to be to protect yourself.
So when it was at 9, was that irresponsible spending on our part? Is that kind of what I'm?
We were the second highest electric in the state of Florida, Al, is that right?
Yeah, look, so
Highest transfer or highest electrical?
highest rate. So and so, just a rough history. Commission hired me December of 2013. At that time, that previous year, the commission had approved a 3-year, 15% rate increase that went 5%, 5%, 5%. And I think at the time you went from like 132, and remember we measured per thousand, we were going from like 132 to 138 to 142 for the fourth year. So I think the first year I got here, we approved the increase to 138, and we stayed there a little bit. And then we worked it down from 138 all the way. We got down to that about 103 a couple years ago when we started giving back power cost monies, power cost adjustments, and that we were at that chart up here. The cost was about $65 a megawatt, and so super competitive. And then as the price slowly eked back up, and we started running out of the power cost adjustment money like we thought we would, because we were holding $9 million. We want to stay around 3. We started giving it back. So I think today we're now back to 125, 127. Come August, we'll be up about 152. So, that's higher than we've ever been. But guess what? When we were headed to 142, that was the highest rate. 152 is going to be about equivalent to Duke. But next month, you also got Duke and FPL before the Public Service Commission looking for a rate increase, which they probably get because the economy and the environment, or the gas world is in the way it's the condition it's in. So everybody will be seeing that. So even at 150, the unfortunate thing is we'll still be competitive. So, and that's the reason we provide you those slides, is we want to see what Duke's doing, we want to see what Mount Dora's doing, we want to see what Seco's doing. And so even at that number, we're gonna still be competitive. Now there'll be other utilities that go above that. We won't know that fallout probably till closer to the fall, to when all this is disclosed, and then we compare it. But even at that, even with the $50 on the power cost adjustment, we're going to be pretty tight. We're going to be meaning competitive. So it's important to watch that 6%. Because as we get tight on the other end, that's why we've done stuff on the general fund side, bringing in other police, getting fund interdependent so that taxes and other fees start paying the share. You don't want your enterprise funds, and no disrespect to the fire and police guys, because obviously fire and police is 65% of the general fund, but you don't want your enterprise fund paying for fire and police services. And as that goes up, and I think we've done a real great job of that, because we've made advancements in our emergency services with our collective bargaining agreements. We've gotten more competitive there with their pay. We brought in a couple more officers, and we go up and down there, and all the while we've lowered our transfer. So I won't say it's going to be easy to put a charter amendment that says 6%. But it's the right fiduciary responsibility to show our rate customers, especially those outside rate customers, because as the environment gets more competitive, depending on where all this stuff goes, and we get more non-electric customers who are residents, we're going to get managed. We're going to get managed because territory's going away. Everybody's fighting the same fight, and the only way to be competitive in the regulated utility world is those investor-owned utilities need more customers. And so when they want more customers and they want to expand their portfolio, they pick off the municipal utilities that aren't competitive. And they wine and dine commissioners, and they talk about how they don't know the business as well. We saw that with the gas. When we went into, and I don't mean to be long-winded, but when we went into that battle with TECO over gas, the theme through that at the Public Service Commission was Leesburg doesn't know what they're doing. Well, guess what? We showed the Public Service Commission that we'd been in the business longer than TECO. We had a better safety record, and we do know the business. Municipal utilities started electrification, okay? So but those are the things that people who aren't in the industry don't see. This community needs to protect that, and the coming years are going to be volatile. So this is the dog's not sleeping. Actually, the dog's running around right now. He's not even at his dog house. But when he comes back, we need to have the rules changed.
And I can tell you where it's going to come from, because I was part of the people that were pushing to raise our electric rate, right, before I was on the commission. So Commissioner Christian probably remembers. But it was like 2010, 2012-ish. We were still very much in a recession here in Central Florida. The city was struggling for property tax revenues. So they'd already cut, and the idea was we got to raise a little more revenue. So they were floating a property tax increase. Well, people like me who own a business say, whoa, my business is struggling. I don't have a homestead exemption on my business. You're going to raise my property tax. That's going to cost me big money. Why don't you just raise the utilities a little bit? Because that'll hit everyone, right? That hits everyone. That's a user fee. And then to support my business position, you get everyone that's on Duke comes in and says, yeah, raise the electric rates. Don't raise my property tax rates. Right. And so the next time we have a recession, that's where it'll come from. And my concern is it's going to be a lot worse, because now we're going to have a lot more people who are paying property taxes but don't have an electric bill from the city of Leesburg. So, it's well-meaning, but it's going to be the natural thing to do, is ask to raise it. And so that's kind of where all this came from.
No, thank you both for all that clarification. Commissioners?
I just want to commend Dan has been very consistent for 8 years, lowering electric rates, and he's right on point, because 2008, 9, 10, we had business owners who were basically saying people who don't own houses won't get hit by raising your property taxes. Leesburg has been blessed because we can transfer 6-7% from utilities, so we can keep our property taxes low. You look at our property tax, we're real low compared to mascot other cities. So you're going to have to do that balancing act. And so you get a whole lot of people on the south end of the county, they're going to come fill this room up, and they're going to say, you know, hey, why are your rates high? What are you doing? And then you get one of these other investors say, we'll give you $90 million, and you can just take this, and Leesburg have a lot of cash. If you got 3 commissioners who are saying, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. We don't have to worry about the electric and all this kind of stuff, give it to them. So I think it's a good idea for us to explore it. If we need more time, Al, Commissioner Connell, next meeting, we still have time. We don't have a special meeting, so you can talk all day, educate us. We can ask you questions. But I think it's something that we can protect, because I think the pressure will come. When Vero Beach was going through their scenario, it became political. I think one of the state reps were pushing it, leading the fight. So it even came out of the community. Now you got the state pushing, and of course people start talking about millions of dollars, and then you get a headache, or we go through what went through the smart grid, and everybody in the community is complaining and fussing. You just say, oh, let's get rid of it, because no matter what we talk about, I got a text today, my light bill's $500. So we can say 6% transfer. We're going to cap it at the average resident can care less. We can talk about we're not going to do. They can care less about the kilowatts, 135, because I do this thing. Well, compare some outdoor, compare to Duke. They don't care about that. My electric bill is $400. What are you guys doing? That's all they care about. So I think even though we're doing what we need to do, Al has explained to us that we are competitive, but nobody wants to hear that, because you start, well, the garbage is included, the waste was included. They don't care. They want to know what's coming in my pocket at the first of the month. So I think that's our charge, is to see, make sure we're competitive and we keep the rates as low as possible, maintaining a great productive city. So I do applaud, Commissioner Roebuck. And no more conferences for you. This is your time, Al. So you go to conference and come back with these great ideas. So this is it. This is swan song. No more conferences.
No, thank you for all the good comments. I've obviously learned some things here that helped me. Any other comments? Okay. I think I'm looking around, so we'll move on to a second reading, August 8th.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see. Moving on to non-routine items. Someone please introduce 6C1.
Introduce has to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the issuance of the city's not to exceed $30 million utility system revenue bond, Series 2022, for the purpose of financing the cost of the acquisition, construction, and equipping of the construction of a wastewater treatment facility and other capital projects of the utility system, and pay costs of issuance for such bond, authorizing the mayor pro tem, city manager, or finance director to award the sale of such bonds to Truist Bank in accordance with certain parameters set forth herein, approving the form and authorizing the execution and delivery of a loan agreement to secure the repayment of said 2022 bond, providing for the payment of such 2022 bond from the pledged revenues of the city's water, sewer, and gas systems on parity with certain existing city utility system debt. All is provided in the loan agreement, approving the form and authorizing the execution and delivery of an allonge to its utility system revenue refunding note, Series 2010, originally purchased by Truist Bank, successor to SunTrust Bank, authorizing the proper officials of the city to do any other additional things deemed necessary or advisable in connection with the execution of the loan agreement, such 2022 bond, and the security therefore, authorizing the execution and delivery of documents in connection with said loan, providing for severability and other matters in regard thereto, and providing an effective date.
Comments from the commission?
Do we vote on this one tonight? Okay, yeah, move for approval.
Yeah, I think we have a signing party tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, this is spending $30 million tonight. So that's.
So move for approval.
Second.
Comments from the commission?
So my only comment, and I did call Al today, and he had some enlightening comments that I think would be good for the public. 2 years ago, I was in the audience, and you guys were talking about going from 2 to 4, or should we go from 2 to 6? And the conversation was a lot about, being conservative. What happens if we don't need the 6 and we decided to go to the 4? So here tonight, we're going up another increment, and I ask Al the question, should we be going to 8 instead of to 6? And we had a conversation about it, about who would end up paying the freight, but I thought it was germane to at least discuss the possibility.
You fill in the gaps. Okay, without being as long-winded as I just was.
Right, yes.
Okay, so the predicament we're in is we have major growth in the south. We have a non-related contractual relationship with the villages, and these things didn't come in a fashion where we could tackle them all at once. So we endeavored, we went off and we made a deal with the villages to bring in 3 MGD of their wastewater. Why did we do that? Because in 2000, when we thought we were going to get a lot of waste, a lot of growth and development, we built a big, giant wastewater treatment facility. And then as soon as we did that, which is the heart of the commissioner's question, when we did that, the economy dropped, and we didn't have the housing and the growth that we anticipated that was going to fill that up. And the existing ratepayers then paid the bonds that are on that plant. So 15 years or so after everything crashed and we had this 3.5 million gallon plant with 1 MGD in it, we partnered with the villages. So that was step one. At that point, we asked ourselves the question, well, when we expand this to 4.5 MGD, should we go up to 5 or 6? And we talked about that in 2018. And the bottom line on that number was, that was a super hard decision, because we felt like on our current growth, we had some wiggle room in there that once the load from the villages would come in, we weren't going to be quite at 80% of the nameplate 4.5 capacity, and we'd have some time to figure it out. Well, that was 18. We issued some debt in 20, and now we're in 22. And in those 4 years that have passed, we've gone from a couple thousand units of subdivisions that weren't going anywhere to 27, with Dan saying 3 now. So now we're at 30,000. So we can argue whether it's 27 or 30, but basically we have enough platted units, or we have enough approved units that we're going to double the city. When does that happen? We don't know. So our new growth projections of wastewater treatment say we're going to need 6 MGD by I think the number, Cliff, what's it, 2030, 33 or something like that, 31. So basically by the time the villages fills up the tank with the deal, we're already going to be at 80% of the nameplate capacity of the plant. And when you hit 80% of the nameplate capacity of the plant, you got to start building. So now we're asking ourselves that same question that we did back in 1819. Do we need to build bigger than what we have on the table? And the honest answer is, I don't know. I don't know. But the professional answer is you do the conservative thing, you do the right thing, and you do what you can afford. And you don't start building a bunch of capacity where your current ratepayers have to pay it while it sits empty waiting for houses that may or may not be built. So if we went out and got $8 million, instead of doing $30 million tonight, you'd be looking at $60 million. And instead of a $2.2 million annual debt payment, you'd be looking at $4.5 million. That the sewer fund can't afford. So the questions, the things that we know, we have a lot of houses that are on the books, and it seems that they're going to be, that a lot of them are going to be built. We've been clipping at 70 months, 70 houses a month, single-family resident permits issued, which is the biggest we've ever been at, and we've sustained that for about 6-9 months. Does that continue? Probably. Some of the things that are helping us is Dan, when Commissioner Roebuck wears his other hat, he can't sell roofs, doors, and windows that fast. So that's probably actually helping us and artificially keeping growth from really growing. So that's probably a good thing for us. So in long story short there, what the 6 million level does now is it gets us a little bit extra capacity. It's affordable, and it kicks the can down the road to probably 2030. So it gives us an 8-year window where we can breathe a little bit. We don't have to, we're not going to be up against, because what I can tell you is that in 2025, we're going to be at 80% capacity.
Yes.
That we know. So we got to start building. But I don't think you build beyond 6 because then you start building too much capacity. Then you start making existing ratepayers pay your debt proceeds, you raise rates, and you're not guaranteed that additional, now you may be sitting at 50% capacity or 40% capacity if you stop around 4 MGD. I think what we can assume is the Villages is going to grow, and we're going to hit 4 MGD by 2025. I think the number at the current pace is mid-25. And once we hit that number, that's when we know we would have to expand. So when we get to 25, we've got 3-year window to see if we start filling up our side of the plant. If we do, we have time to think about how we do it. We'll start having impact fees coming in now, right? So all these other houses, like Whispering Hills and the ones that you approved before, and those 27,000 houses that are sitting out there, half of them are not Villages houses. So multiply that times 2,800, and that's your sewer impact fee money that's waiting to be collected. I don't know what's the math on that. That's a lot. So that's the number then that will help you get from 6 to 8. So is it the right answer? I think yes, but I don't think the system and the numbers support anything more than 6. And having said that, I will also tell you very confidently that you can afford this number. It's the projections are already in the 23 budget, and so we already crunched that number, and we continue to do that. And as long as those trends are there, we'll easily cover it. I think when the bond council went out and we surfed this, they see our trends, they see our numbers, and I know interest rates went up recently, but we still got a competitive interest rate for where we're at. So it was a 4.25, 375. So 375 at 3.37, which is super good right now. 3.37 and 2.2 million a year. So we're right in that envelope, and we know that we've got the cash flow to cover it.
You're pulling all the money down at one time, right? The 30 million?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it'd probably take us I think, Cliff, what's the estimated due date of the plant being done? We're at 2 years into it now, right? Right. So we start. It's only a year. Well, we got about 6 more. We're looking to start construction October of this year, and then 18 months. So mid-24, when we're at 6 MGD, when we need to start repaying the entire full note.
Cliff needs enough time for everyone to forget his jokes from the last one, so he can reuse them.
You hear that, Cliff?
But a question and on the impact fees, have we looked at those lately? I know these costs have gone way up since we first started talking about this to build this stuff, and I think we have to do studies or something to change those, but it's been a long time. So we might want to revisit it. That 2,800 is the number.
I think the 28 is low.
Yeah, I mean, I hate raising fees, but I also know that construction costs on everything are just going crazy.
And here's the numbers. So today, 1 million gallons costs us $30 million. That's so you go out and you expand your plant, and the building block is 1 MGD. So we know That 30 million is what the next block, all things being equal, right, is going to be. And with, say, we got 30,000 houses on the books, half of those are village houses, so 15,000 aren't. So that's 15,000 times 2,800, so there's 42 million. That's not collected. So that's a good chunk at the next rate. But I think if, we can seriously go do a study on the impact fees, and I'll bet you lunch that will probably need to go up at least 25%.
And I think that's doable. What I don't want to see us do, I'll say, on the other side, is I've seen municipals, they go out, and these firms, they'll give you whatever number you want. So if you tell them you wanted to cover, I don't want to see us, raise the fee by like 300% because we think we need to cover the entire thing out of this, because we are getting revenues as well. But the 2,800 seems like that's not. So 25%, yeah, I can see that. But I just think we need to be, while I think it's too low, be careful about not going
I
crazy.
think what we could probably do is, if the commission wants that, we look at our existing costs on this expansion, the upgrade from 3 to 4.5, and we compare it with the next jump to the 6. We put those costs in the hopper, maybe put a little reasonable inflation number in it, and divide it by the number of houses that are on the books, and that's your impact fee. With maybe some reduction numbers in there, because we know that's going to grow. And I think what that's going to get you is, we've already put a pencil to it, and we were about 25-30%, if I remember correctly.
And so, to go up from 2,800, yes, you're talking about another maybe 750 bucks. So yeah, maybe 3,500, 400. That's not going to be the difference in building or not building these houses, but it is substantial in terms of making sure we have capacity so they can be built in the first place. So.
Help me out, Al. I think I asked this question before. Our agreement with the villages, obviously, we have the right to adjust rates in there as needed.
Yes.
Okay. I just get nervous with these big dollar amounts.
The simple sentence in that agreement was, their rate is adjusted as we adjust all other rate users.
Okay. Any other comments from the commission? Everybody good? Comments from the public? Okay, Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Commissioner Birdie?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. Moving on to informational reports. We have the financial reports as of May 2022. Any comments from the commission? No comments. Moving on, city attorney items.
Yes, sir. Just a couple of brief comments this evening. I notice that we do have the closed session, attorney-client session coming up here shortly here. Just a reminder for everybody, again, I do have a conflict on that particular matter. My firm does have a conflict, so I'm not going to be able to stick around for the closed session meeting, but you've got some good attorneys here that will be able to help you out with that. Just a reminder for everybody that's going to attend that as well. Again, there will be a court reporter present. Everything, all discussion will be on the record. That will eventually be transcribed and released as a public record as well, so just keep that in mind. The subject matter is settlement discussions and what is it? Strategy sessions related to litigation expenditures. So those would be your subject matter for the meeting coming up. And again, since I'm not going to be there, I'm certainly happy to stick around, I guess, until the attorney-client session is over. If the commission would like me to hang out, I can come back in when that session's complete and close down the meeting if there's any questions. But, like I said, I'll leave that with the commission, however you...
I'm looking around the table. I appreciate the offer, but I think we can talk with you after some other time. I'm not going to make you stick around for 45 minutes or so.
Very good.
Thank you, though.
I appreciate that. And the last thing I've got the Municipal Attorneys Conference coming up later this week, so I'll be going down to that. I'll be out for a couple of days. I'll try not to come back with too many great ideas, but hopefully we'll learn some good information while I'm down there, and I'll be certain to update everybody on anything I do learn. So I appreciate being here with everybody as always, and thank you for letting me go home a little bit early.
Thank you again. City manager items.
Yeah, I want to formalize the art committee. I guess a month or so back, we endeavored and collected and put together an art committee, and everybody needed to come up with appointments. So just for formality purpose, I spoke to each of you, but just to publicly recognize who you're all appointing. If these names are wrong, speak now. If they're right, give a nod of the head, and that's the formality we need for Andy to make it official. And then we'll establish the art committee, and Maria Stefanovic has already talked with me about wanting the folks to meet on some of the issues that are pending. So Commissioner Roebuck, Danielle Strode, Commissioner Jimmy Burry, Simon Richardson, Commissioner John Christian, Vonda Parker, Commissioner Jay Cannell, Darrell Crane, and Mayor Peterson, Vicky Murphy. Are those all right?
Correct.
So it shall be the art committee. I offered Maria the commission chambers for them to meet, and offered them the services of the city clerk to advertise as we need to the public meetings and to take the minutes and keep the records. And Maria worked through me and Andy to keep everything according to standards.
Hope you enjoy my chair, Maria. Anything else?
No, sir.
Andrew? Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Christian?
Kind of brought us up, like every year, it's the issue. The hotel, Al, on the boulevard, and right there used to be the old, I guess,
Stay
Stay and Save. They started some work, then it's like stop. Do we have any update on that?
I'll have to get back to
Okay.
you.
All right, that's all I have for tonight.
Commissioner Burry?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Roebuck?
No, they didn't.
Commissioner Connell?
No, not tonight.
Mayor Peterson?
Nothing tonight. So at this point, I will suspend the regular meeting. We're going to move into our closed attorney-client session. I need to announce the attendees, which I will, and the estimated time for this meeting is about 45 minutes. Read them out.
Yes, sir. Everybody maybe calm down and then we can read out their
They're massive exceptions. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1:30.
Well, I'm glad you said something.
It's on your calendar. You put it on there.
Fine on my calendar.
Oh, no,
Okay.
it's 1:30.
Okay.
Do you want to sign these after we come back or tomorrow?
Oh, God.
Give me 5 minutes.
Yeah, so announce who's staying.
Just one second, Commissioner Cannell. I just need to announce who's staying. We have some formalities here. So the attendees are myself, Mayor Mike Peterson, Commissioner Jimmy Burry, Commissioner John Christian, Commissioner Jay Cannell, Commissioner Dan Roebuck, attorneys Mark Brianez, attorney Stephanie Brianez, attorney John Metcalf, city manager Al Minner, and our court reporter. I also need to announce that the estimated time for this meeting is about 45 minutes, and then we will come back to our regular meeting. So officially closing the regular meeting.
Is the other attorney here? Is Mr. Metcalf here?
Call HD Roebuck here to represent.